everyone, welcome to Itsy Bitsy's live read from Devil's Dilemma, a Satan's Devil's MC Colorado chapter book 4 by Manda, Mellett. Chapter 1, Melissa. It's Friday evening. I'm sitting giggling, or at least making a show of pretending to understand what's so funny, with my group of fellow co-workers at a bar. They're all younger than me, and it shows. They seem to be more in tune with life, while I, at 34, seem old among the group of 20-somethings. Even the music they talk about I've never heard of, though they're not exactly a different generation. Some even live at home, while I manage to get a place where I can support myself and have a small house I managed to buy, with an eye-watering mortgage, of course. That's the reason I've been sipping my one drink all evening, while others seem to throw cash around without care. "Didn't you watch it?" one of the younger girl office workers asks. While I shake my head, she continues, "I can't believe you don't watch that talent show. I find it hilarious." I prefer spending my free time cooking, producing meals for the week that I can freeze and just heat up when I'm tired, or the confectionery concoctions I love conjuring up. It's my form of relaxation. Along with reading, those two hobbies take up most of my time. The TV is in the corner of my living room and is rarely on. Beth, my exceptionally tall and model slim friend, is adamantly telling the others about her preparation for a marathon, something else I tune out. Me and exercise, long-parted company. I like to relax when I get home. I'm perfectly happy with myself and my life and don't feel the need to have an exercise regimen or try the latest fad diet to influence how I appear in anyone else's eyes. Not that I didn't spend my late teens or a few following years trying to become what nature never intended me to be, but I could never match the image of the ideal woman who I saw in magazines. I've always stood back and watched men home in on my slender and ideally endowed friends while the years have passed, and I've ended up alone. I don't resent it. When I look in the mirror, I know what a man sees, and that's not a future with a curvy woman like me. I'd been 14 when I first became aware I was different, and because of it was subjected to cruelty common in kids of that age. I was a fat girl. The girl never chosen to be on the sports team, the girl no one wanted to be friends with, as though my size might have been infectious. Fat, the boys called me. Baby fat reassured my mom, and that I'd grow out of it, but neither more years nor diet had worked, and I remained as I am today, stout and rounded, but luckily no longer bullied because of it. While the conversation about running leaves me once again out in the cold, I amuse myself, looking around, people watching. The bar we've come to is one I haven't been to before. It's pleasant enough, with the strong, enticing aroma of food that's making my stomach rumble. Good choice of drinks and cocktails, too, I muse, watching the bartender expertly mix one, shaking a shaker vigorously, then twisting it behind his back and tossing it into the air. As I look on, amused and enticed while he goes through his routine for a couple of giggling girls who can't take their gaze off him, I suddenly notice eyes staring at me. I look away fast, already feeling my face burning, but not before I've seen enough to be able to recreate his image in my mind's eye. He's younger than me, much younger. There's a cocky tilt to his head, dark hair flopping around his face in no particular style, and a worn leather cut that warns me to stay far away from him. He's a biker, from one of those biker clubs the articles in the news often warn us about. But my eyes had remained on him long enough for me to wonder what I have done, and had I been a few years younger. My brief glimpse had shown me he was a handsome and muscular, tall but not overly so, shorter than Beth, but still much taller than me. About 5'9" or 10, I'd estimate. I'm just 5'3". Why the hell am I estimating our height difference? Of course he wasn't looking at me, or only critically. I've been a victim of his sort before. Yeah, Beth, this weekend. I forced myself to concentrate on the conversation going on around me. What do you want to make? Cupcakes? Muffins? Both? Beth's tongue actually licked her lips in anticipation. Both? Of course. You're coming, aren't you, Melissa? I shake my head. You don't want me around. They do try to include me in their activities, but the thing is I'm not comfortable mixing with them outside of work. It's not that I don't get on with them. I do. We're just interested in different things. Clothes, fashion, and young men are not my scene. I'm sure one day they'll realize I'm boring. Have you got anything better to do? Her eyes narrow. Oh, don't worry about me. I wave my hand dismissively. I'll be busy. I decide to keep quiet that I'll be trying out a new recipe and looking at some wool for a knitting pattern I found online. Used to me turning down any and all invitation, Beth just shakes her head and then grins. One of these days, we'll drag you out into the land of the living, Melissa. I smile back, offering only a tentative. Maybe. I may have only had one drink, but my bladder signals it's empty. It needs emptying. Pushing back my chair, I stand and make my way to the restrooms, which are over in the direction of the bar. As I enter the small hallway, the door to the men's opens and the biker I'd admiring earlier steps out. Up close, he looks even younger than the age I had first pegged him. We do that sort of awkward dance, him stepping to his left and me to the right at the same time, then laugh in embarrassment, and repeat it to the other side. He quickly tires of the game, putting his strong, calloused hands against my biceps and moving me to one side so he can get around me. A zing of electricity goes through me at the touch of his warm hands, but it's all too fast, and job done. He moves them away. Then, with a wink, he walks off. I stay, for a moment needing the wall to support me and my hands covering my heart, which seems to be fluttering. Half of me wishes I was 10 years younger. The other half acknowledges he wouldn't have looked twice at me then either. But the demon sitting on my shoulder whispers into my ear. No one will know if I use him to fuel some fantasies when I'm using my vibrator later, and in my dreams I can be any age and any shape or size that I want. I could even be a woman who'd tempt a handsome biker. I only take a few seconds to recover my equilibrium, then step into the ladies and do what I came here for. After washing my hands and drying them, I prepare to reverse my steps through the crowded bar and return to my friends once again. Hey, a voice interrupts as I exit the hallway. After dancing together, I think we should at least exchange names. For the second time this evening, my face turns bright red, and I'm tempted to check behind me that there's no one else there. I'm Skull. His mouth turns up either side, and I'm subjected to the full force of his attractiveness, noticing the gleam of sin and temptation in his eyes. I'm too old to play games, I come straight out with it. I'm not easy, and so far the type of person this man should hook up with. It's too much of a joke to even consider. If he's got mommy issues or fantasies, he can keep them. Whoa! His hands are up. Who said we were playing a game? I do, I said firmly. When a man speaks to a strange woman in a bar, it's not to exchange views on the weather. I might be a homebody, but I'm not naive. An approach out of the blue is usually taking the opportunity to flirt. His grin widens and he shrugs. What's wrong with flirting? Nothing, as long as it was someone the same age and in the same ball game. You're saying you're out of my league? A frown appears. No, I deny hastily. I'm saying you're out of mine. Why on earth would a handsome young man want to talk to an older woman like me? I haven't missed that we're surrounded by many more suitable girls with a lot less years under their belt, pretty and airless, and who would probably love to take a ride on his bike. Handsome? As he cocks an eyebrow, the grin comes back. You think I'm handsome? Whether I do or not isn't the point. Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to go back to my friends. He stares at me, his eyes softening slightly. Then his gaze goes toward our table, and his lips turn up in a devastating smile once again. Okay, you do that. Nice to meet you, Melissa. For the life of me, I don't know why I told him. Melissa, he tries it out. Heaven help me, but my name falling from his lips of this sexy biker almost in relevant tone to something to me. That session with my vibrator is definitely on the horizon when I'm by myself later, along with the fantasy that I'm 20 and nothing more than a size 0. Knowing I need to get away before I make a fool of myself by grabbing hold of his leather vest and insisting he eases the arousal inside of me by taking me outside, I stumble in the direction of where my friends are sitting. What was that all about? Beth's the one to ask, but not the only one staring wide-eyed between me and the man at the bar. He a friend of yours? I don't know him from Adam, I admit, my lips thinning, unable to stop my eyes returning to the man with the particular name. He appears to have lost all interest in me and is now deep in conversation with the bartender. Probably ordering his next beer. Could well be a drunk as well as a biker, and overindulgence in alcohol would certainly offer an explanation for his strange behavior. I frown, though I hadn't noticed him unsteady in any way. It could be that I'd had a conversation with a drink and not a man. Only one inebriated would show the slightest interest in a woman like myself. Beth grins. I think he is now. What? I've lost the thread, obviously. A friend. She nods at the heavily laden tray that's being carried our way. From the concoctions upon it, I can see it's meant to be ours. Up to now, we've all been buying our drinks on separate tabs. I can't afford. I start as a fresh margarita is slid over the table toward me. Is it on the house? Carter asks, optimistically. I wait, hopefully for a positive but inexplainable answer, but my spirits fall when the waitress replies, Nah, Skull sent them over. She turns to nod at the man now watching from the bar so there can be no misunderstanding. Beth nudged me. Told you it was him, and he's paid out for a full round. That doesn't come cheap, girlie. Think he must have made an impression. I glance around the table at the other workers from the government offices in town, saying she's got an Irish heritage and Celtic looks, and tonight is totally stunning, wearing tight leggings and the latest fashion top. Her hair is cropped. Holly, sitting next to her, is the opposite in every way. Fair complexion and blonde hair which seems to glimmer in the overhead lights. Her brilliant blue eyes are sparkling as she sips her free sex on the beach. I remember wondering whether she likes it when she placed the order or just wanted to try and make the bartender blush. Beth, striking, over 6 foot tall, is still in her 20s and lacks for nothing in the looks department. Then there's Macy and Shyla, both pretty girls. My lips press together as I wonder whether one of them had caught his attention. That seems more fitting. Try and befriend me to get me an invite to the table. Yes, that would make sense. The ones I doubt he's got much interest in are Carter and Bryce, the only men here. But then, nowadays, you can never be certain. Having decided he's got his eyes firmly fixed on one of the others, I'm not that concerned when Beth turns around and beckons him over to the table. God, even the way he walks is sexy. His staggering gait making his slim hips move side to side. His form-fitting jeans and tight tee leave little about him to the imagination and make me suspect he's got one of those delicious V's leading down to his forbidden parts. The type in pictures I sometimes swoon over when they're posted in the online groups I frequent. As he draws closer, I see he's got a small scar, a tiny white line parting his left eyebrow, intriguing rather than ugly. Thank you for listening to this portion.